Hey, what is happening? Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. This is Michael Zinn. You are in my happy place. I have arrived. You have arrived. We are here to co create this moment right here. It is my intention every week on Thursdays to have this place to talk to amazing people. For anyone who's been watching the show, I've made friends with people of all different sorts of modalities and beliefs, and have resonated with all of them. And I've been able to have some amazing conversations. And I'm hoping to continue that because that's what I'm about. I believe that we're all connected. We talk a lot about energy on this show and energy being everything. And that's what my show is about. And I'm excited because this guest is going to be a super interesting conversation. I already see in the comments, people making assumptions about what this person believes in, what that person believes, and that's not what this show is about. I certainly will give my guest his time to talk about what he does and what he believes in, but this is my show. We are going to talk about consciousness and spirituality and existence on a different level of the 3D. Whether it's flat or round, it's still three-dimensional. So we're here to do that. I see some of my regulars here. Jilly, what's happening? Lily, what is happening? Good to see you guys. Tim, what's happening? I'm going to just also recognize you guys. We may get to talk about flat earth for a bit, so that'll be exciting for you guys. But again, we're going to have a soul-to-soul conversation. Dirth is the man. Welcome to the show. I thank you guys for coming here and giving me a chance to have this conversation and be here and join in. Hopefully you will be as respectful to me as I will be to you, until you don't deserve it, and then I'll just ignore you. But anyway, what is all this nonsense about? I've, like I said, I've talked to some amazing people, and I happen to get a chance to see my next guest on a show and do some research and just see him getting beat up all over the place, and his beliefs are controversial, which is awesome. I love that. And people just don't get him, so he doesn't get a chance to have a quiet soul-to-soul conversation often, I feel like, and that's why I invited him here. So without further ado, what's up, Ellen? I love you too. I am going to welcome to the show David Weiss, also known as Flat Earth Dave. Welcome, Dave.
Hey, thanks for having me. And if you Google Flat Earth or my name, you're just going to find a lot of nonsense. Or if you find me, it'll be a show where I am beaten up. Where I'm going against, I don't want to say a bad word, but begins with an A, has an H in it, maybe has some S's at the end, um, and uh, and that's what they want to feed you. It's only when you really look deep and find, if you go to my website and find all my interviews, that you say, hey, there's something to this. And real quick, we all got into this the same way. We thought it was the dumbest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
We were forced to look. And then once you look, you see, your show is about spirituality. Let me tell you something. This is the spiritual journey of spiritual journeys, right?
Awesome.
Because the shape of the earth, the flat is not a shape, right? Level and horizontal is a description of flat. Okay. Sure. Oh no, flat is a description of level.
No, I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. It's all perception.
Yeah, and it's all a. This is a. You want to talk about spiritual journeys? This is the granddaddy of all granddaddies.
Well, I'm excited that you feel that way because I looking deep inside, I haven't necessarily found my understanding of flat Earth. I'm still kind of attached to what I grew up being taught and certain ideals that I have, but I'm also very open to the idea that they may not be right, and I'm certainly willing to learn some things, but we do have a lot of common ground that I want to talk about. I've got a couple of my friends here welcoming you. Hola, Dave. Tim is welcoming you to the show. Jilly's welcoming you to the show. Everybody's really excited to see you and talk to you. But before we get into flat Earth and all of that stuff, there's a couple of questions I have for you that it's my show, and the show is about consciousness. And the simplest question, which I'm excited to hear what you have to say. Is what is consciousness? What does that mean to you? The word consciousness and the idea of consciousness.
That's a great question. The controllers of this world want you to believe that we're physical beings, and our excuse me, our consciousness is in the gray matter in our brain. Um, when the truth is, we're just a receptacle for our consciousness. I believe, this is my belief, that
Mm-hmm.
our consciousness is here within this realm, and we are just the Wi-Fi antenna. Our brains are just the connection to source information.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're a soul having a physical experience, and I tend to think of our souls are eternal. They have lifetimes, whether they're here or somewhere else. That's to be determined. And consciousness is being in touch, communicating with your soul, right? I believe your soul is in you, trying to talk to you all the time, but our ego, our conscious brain, not consciousness, but our conscious brain
Mm-hmm.
is filled with fear and nonsense and voices and all sorts of distractions. And most people don't hear what their soul is saying to them, trying to show them that we're in an amazing realm, an amazing school, an amazing experience. And I believe that we chose to be here at this time.
We are already off to a great start, man. That is total common ground for me. Um, Everything that you said resonates. Again, I said earlier, we talk about energy a lot, and that's part of what I believe that source material is that you're talking about, and the stuff that you're talking about. Great explanation, Julie. Right? That's awesome. The stuff that you're talking about when it comes to flat Earth is very specific to the 3D experience that we're having here. So, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that. There's one more thing I want to talk about before we get you going, because I know you're very passionate about what you believe in and what you're trying to say, and that is. And I know you'll have a good answer that relates exactly, good segue right in, is the spiritual moment. It is, what do you have the story about the moment that you realized that there was something beyond everything that you've been taught? And usually it relates to spirituality and other things, but here it's going to probably relate to what your specific mission is. So yeah, that's the question. What's your moment of realizing that things weren't what you've been taught or what they've seen, or do you believe
So
that?
yeah, so I wasn't brought up in a very religious family. I was my parents are Jewish, so that makes me Jewish. And when I was a kid, we went to temple, and then we stopped going to temple, and never really liked any of it. Then I started exploring different religions. I checked out, Christianity. I went on some Young Life trips, which is a Christian organization. When I was in junior high school, I think went to Bermuda. I don't know where I went. Um, and then I checked out Buddhism, and I checked out all these things, and I'm like, I guess you can call me spiritual, but I believed, that we evolved from monkeys. I believed the whole heliocentric nonsensical story.
Mm-hmm.
And I just I don't believe a big guy in the sky, and I didn't believe all of this stuff. But then, jumping flash forward, way forward, I'm 2014, 2015, I'm trying to disprove the flat Earth and prove the globe, and that's how you become a flat earther. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, we're not on a spinning ball. We're on a flat world, a level horizontal plane, not a disc floating in space. That's misinformation. And it's intelligently designed. This is literally a specific moment. I'm like, the world is intelligently designed. Therefore, there's a creator. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's the point where I stop,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you understand what this world isn't and what it is as a level plane, you understand that it's intelligently designed.
Mm-hmm.
And it is less crazy. No, it's less crazy or more crazy. If you saw a giant building, you went to New York City and looked at a giant building, there's a builder. There's no
Mm-hmm.
doubt. Okay. Well, thinking that there's not a builder for this realm is absolutely insane. So right at that point, I know there's a creator, and that's where I stop. That's where I tell all, many religious people, they go, you got to do it this way. You got to do that. You got to follow this book. You don't follow, all this stuff. No, that's your own personal journey.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can tell you what your relationship with the creator is.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody. But
Mm-hmm.
you can set an example. Hey, if you think you've got the only way to, the connection to the creator, set an example. Show people how you live your life and let them make up their own minds. That's how I see the world. So that's a moment where I changed over. I'm like, I'm not religious. I don't, religion I think is a trap. But I also think that there's more than one answer. Just like, the
Mm-hmm.
reason we see the sunset, the reason we have seasons, there's more than one answer that make the correct answer. So I believe that people that are awesome Christians, people that are awesome Muslims, people that are awesome Jewish people, whatever, they all got it right. They're awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. People that, there's really only one law, which is don't get in anyone's face. Basically, don't interfere in a negative way with anybody and help the person to the left of you and to the right of you and behind you also.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's
Mm-hmm.
it. And if we all obeyed those rules, this place would be awesome. Everybody would be awesome.
Dude, we are so on common ground. I love this. I love everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
And I do have a couple of questions that will also.
I like all questions. Keep them coming.
Yeah. No, this is really great. And what it sounds like is, you believe in love. You believe that if people would be able to just love themselves and love each other, everything would be great, and things would be great. Now, you've kind of taken on this mission, to talk about specifically the idea that the earth is flat. And again, just to give you some idea of where I saw common ground in that, and this is also some great fodder for conversation, is that, if I'm going to believe in psychic mediums, you know what I mean, and that there's this other realm where energy exists and souls still exist and can communicate, then I'm going to believe in some pretty fantastical stuff. And I do feel like we're living in a very specific time that is very significant for humanity to kind of become aware that we have been controlled by certain ideas. Okay. And the possibility of the what do you call it? Geocentrism, or heliocentrism is the round earth, right? The possibility of that being uh false is certainly intriguing to me, as that veil that I see is about to be lifted. So what I'm trying to say is, I certainly believe we're at a point in time that a veil is going to be lifted, and reality as we know it is going to be shown to be something that is not even within our comprehension. Okay. And flat earth is that to many people. And so is the idea that reptilians live among us. That is the same thing to many people. Many people can't
Well,
wrap their heads around that.
let me
Right.
let me just
Sure. Address
interject a
that.
little bit.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not going to even go on the reptilians live among us because that's a whole nother journey. But
Okay.
flat
That's cool.
Earth is far more understandable about than the globe Earth, right? If globers, people that believe we live on a globe, they're globers. It's not a negative term. Just like flat
Mm-hmm.
Earth, is not a negative term.
Mm-hmm.
You're a
Mm-hmm.
glober. If you're globers, if they knew a quarter of what flat earthers know about the globe, the actual what they tell us about the globe, if you knew a quarter, you'd be a flat earther. Because
Right.
the globe is the most ridiculous thing ever when you start looking into it. You ask, we go around, we have a group of guys that go out in flea markets, they set up booths and stuff, and they offer somebody $200 if they can answer 3 simple questions, right? And the first question is, how many times does the earth rotate in one day? Globe. How many times does the globe rotate in one day? Right?
Mm-hmm.
More than 50% of the people don't know it's one
Mm-hmm.
turn a day, right? Then the next question, how fast is the earth orbiting the sun? Nobody gets that right.
Mm-hmm.
66,600 miles an hour. And then the next question is, how far is the sun? Right? And how fast are we chasing the sun? Nobody gets that right.
Mm-hmm.
So, but these are the people that are defending the globe, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to say back a little bit. Why does flat Earth matter with all the craziness that's going on in this world right now? Why the heck does the shape of the earth matter? I still have to go to work on Monday. That's the program response that people have.
Mhm.
And the truth is, it's because it's a prison for your mind. It's the matrix, right?
Mhm.
If we live on a flat plane, I mean, I'm not on a globe. That's
Mhm.
it. There's nothing else to discover, Truman. Remember the Truman Show? That's a flat
Mhm.
Earth movie.
Mhm.
There's
Mhm.
nothing
Mhm.
else to discover. And the idea of disclosure of aliens, intelligent life in this massive infinite universe is light years away. Light years are incomprehensible. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
So once you understand that our thoughts create our reality, everything that you have in your life is because of the way you think. Everyone
Mhm.
out there, it's the way
Mhm.
you think, right?
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
you're a person that survives paycheck to paycheck to paycheck and just has enough money and is always just a little short, that's the way you're thinking. There's people that are they're millionaires and then they're millions of dollars in debt. Could you imagine if the paycheck to paycheck person was millions of dollars in debt? They'd be
Mhm.
they'd kill themselves, right? But
Mhm.
then that person's a millionaire again because that's the way that they think,
Mhm.
right? So our thoughts create our reality. If you limit our thoughts, if you put them on a ball, literally you cut off the expansiveness of your true potential, and that's the
Mhm.
reason they lie about the shape of the earth. They're
Okay.
hiding your potential.
Okay. So that's great. I'm still on the same page. You haven't lost me. And I agree with you that we have not been shown our own potential
Right.
to really understand, what we can do. But you actually brought it up. You almost asked yourself the question that I had for you, which I still would like to understand, which is if I was able to convince everybody that you're right and the earth is flat and we've been taught this lie and we need to believe that, what would be different tomorrow morning? What would happen uh, to allow us outside of this boundary that we've created? Would we be able to suddenly climb the ice wall? Or I don't want to offend your beliefs in any way, but I mean, would we suddenly have the ability to go beyond the understanding that we
Yeah,
achieved
I
already?
understand your question. All
Okay.
governments would collapse, okay, instantly, right?
Mhm.
The only power, the only authority anyone has over you, because you have God given free will, is the authority that you give them and you have in your imagination.
Mhm.
Nobody has any control over you,
Mhm.
okay? Nobody does. You're only not allowed to break universal law, which is don't kill, steal, or, negatively affect anybody else. Let them live their lives, right? But
Mhm.
they have all of these laws and all of these rules and all of this nonsense that goes beyond common law, and they have everyone scared, right? You work your entire life, you have your weekends off, you watch some sports, you watch some movies, you drink alcohol. This is all by design. Remember during the lockdowns,
Mhm.
everything was closed, spirituality was closed, but the liquor stores were open.
Right.
Okay, what's up with that?
Sure.
Right? And they want you drunk, tired, stupid, and sick. Okay? And that way you'll never reach your true potential. And they tell you in school that you only use 10% of your brain and 2% of your DNA. That's nonsense.
Mhm.
That's absolute nonsense. They only want you using 10% of your brain and they want to calcify the rest of it with fluoride,
Mhm. Mhm.
okay, and other toxins, right?
Sure.
So if you actually learned real stuff like vortex mathematics and sacred geometry instead of accounting,
Mhm.
okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
you might challenge the people that rule over you, the people that you allow to rule over you. So that's what difference does it make is it makes all the difference in the world. I worked in corporate America. I left corporate America, started my own company. I had a vision board. You probably are very
Sure.
familiar with
Yeah.
vision
Yeah.
boards, right?
Yeah.
So I made a vision board and I wrote on. I actually had a physical vision board and I wrote on it all these things that I wanted. Um, and one of the things was I wanted to be the CEO of my own company. When I wrote that down, I giggled because I didn't even know what a CEO did.
Right.
Okay. Right. And I was like, I don't know, I'll start a company. Well, not, like a year or two after I wrote that board, the company I was with got bought out and the division that I started there got shut down.
Hmm.
And so now I'm out. And I'm like, oh my God. Right. But I was like, you know what? This is a door closing. It's because there's another door opening.
Mhm.
And I consulted for about a year. And then I started the competing company. Well, a company doing what the other company did, but we came up with a better idea on how to do it. And it
Mhm.
was phenomenal. and it took off, and it was doing really well. I was making more money than I ever thought. And part of on my vision board, I said, I want more time off, and I want to make more money, and I want to sell something I really love.
Mhm.
Right. And I got into the commercial solar power development. I love it. It's good for the world, making money, and had lots of free time.
Mhm.
And then during that, I put out in my virtual vision board that I wanted even more free time and more freedom. And unfortunately, money is one of the roads to freedom. Um, and and I want to do something that helps people, and all of these things. And all of a sudden, I found myself leaving my own company, leaving all that money on the table, and doing what I'm doing now. And somehow I developed an app which is rocking the world. It's changing the world. It's
Mhm.
waking up
Mhm. Mhm.
tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. And
Awesome.
and I've never here's a funny thing which doesn't make sense in the physical world. I am busier than I've ever been in my entire life, and at the same time I have more free time than I've ever had in my entire life.
Kudos to you, man. That sounds like what everybody is looking to achieve, you know. I mean, I certainly can understand everything that you talked about, you know, living week to week, and you know, kind of being trapped within this belief system that's been layered upon you. So what I see in you, and I'm really glad to see it coming out here in this conversation, is this kind of compassionate side, and this understanding that, I mean, I'm not coming at you, we're not arguing about anything. This compassionate side of understanding that, you know, I grew up in this world that has all of these belief systems that have been piled and piled and piled on top of me. So you have compassion for, you know, my resistance to being like, no man, you're right, earth is flat, or jumping right on the boat and whatever, and really even just engaging you in a conversation about it. And I appreciate that, and I can see that, which
Let me
is
while I got this graphic up, let me just do
yeah,
a 1 minute run through. So
sure.
if you believe we live in the heliocentric ball, you don't believe in the three body gravitational problem, because there's, I don't know, there's hundreds of bodies in our solar system that are spinning, whirling, and twirling around the sun, chasing the sun. So we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. We're
Hmm.
orbiting at 66,600 miles an hour. Funny number. We're
Hmm.
chasing the sun at about a half a million miles an hour. All the other planets are doing the same thing, different speeds in their orbit, but they're chasing the sun at the exact same speed. That's how they all stay on this flat plane. We're traveling 4.5 billion miles a year. But if you go out tonight, take a picture of the stars at a certain time, and then next year, same night, same time, or in 10 years, same night, same time, take a picture, you're going to have all of the stars in the exact same position.
Hmm.
That makes no sense if you actually think about it. So
Hmm.
let's just put that into context really quick. This is the hypersonic sled track. It's going to go by at Mach 8.6, 8.6 times the speed of sound. Ready? Can't even see it. If you
Hmm.
heard it, it would shock you out of your chair.
Hmm.
Okay. You have to believe that the Earth is orbiting the sun 10 times faster than that. And it's
Sure.
chasing the sun in a curved trajectory 100 times faster than that. A
Right, right, right,
hundred
right.
times. You can't fathom that. But when we go out into nature, what does this tell
Sure,
you?
sure.
Right?
And
Men, hold on. Men tell you all of that is going on. Nature tells you this. Who lies?
right, 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 right. And I've seen this demonstration, and just not as a counter to it, but just to back up my thoughts, and the way I've been looked at that exact graphic with the solar system kind of hurtling through space. You know, I did watch the 20 top reasons that the Earth isn't a globe. I watched a video, you know, kind of a pro flat Earth globe video, and I was intrigued by a lot of the information and some of that you're talking about. Um, I lost my train of thought here. Hold on a second. So for me to okay, to say, okay, I do believe that image that you just showed, right? I believe that we're doing it. I use the idea of scale, right? So that, you know, if the Earth, you said it, the globe is rotating one time in 24 hours, that 1,000 miles an hour standing on that scale of an object, you wouldn't
So,
necessarily feel it. But wait a second, because today I did say to myself, and I was thinking about that exact physical model, And I said, but if you're standing on the North Pole, then shouldn't you be spinning around really fast? Like you're at the
No,
center
it's
of that?
spinning around once a day that you wouldn't even notice because
You wouldn't even know
you're
it.
you wouldn't
Right.
even notice. But see, that's a good example. You're standing on the North Pole. You're only spinning around once every 24 hours. That's slower than the hour hand on a clock because the clock goes around twice a day. Okay,
Right.
but
Right.
let's put it on a merry-go-round. So you're on a merry-go-round and you're on the outside horse, and that horse is going. The merry-go-round only spins once per day. Well, that is one boring merry-go-round. You're barely going to notice that you're moving, if at
Right.
all. Maybe you take a nap, you wake up, you go, oh, look, I moved a little bit. Okay.
Right.
Right. But now we expand that out to 24 miles in circumference.
Right.
Well, it's now moving a mile an hour. Okay. That's a little slower than somebody walks. Let's go 240 miles. So now it's going 10 miles an hour. You can't even run. You can't run that fast. Okay. And now expand it to 24,000 miles. Right. It's going faster than the speed of sound. You angular speed does not matter. It's rim speed that matters. And they've done tests where you spin something and it explodes because the angular speed is too much. Right. So and I have to film this because I did it, but I need to film it with my drone from above. If I got I got like a little 1 pound weight, like a fishing weight, and I put it on a string and I started spinning around and I let out more and more line. And maybe I let out 20 feet of line. Now I'm spinning around and that weight's not touching the ground because the farther out it goes, the actually slower I can go to keep it out there. And then I have another weight on a 1 foot line and I'm holding it right next to it as I spin. That weight is barely going to swing outwards from the force.
Right.
Okay. Even though it's going around same angular speed, it's the rim speed that causes the force. Right. And then, and you have to understand that people go, well, I could drink a glass of water and I could go pee on an airplane. Well, if you want to compare an airplane to the slowest of all of those motions I told you, that would be the spin of the earth. You have to double the speed of the airplane. The pilot has to nose down fast as a free falling skydiver. Okay. Just to follow the curve of the earth. And you have to remove the outside shell of the plane. And then let me know how your drink is doing. Right. So when you actually think these things through and get past the programming, because we were programmed, all of the responses that you're going to make tonight are the same responses I made. And it's the same responses that everyone else makes because this is what's been programmed into us so deep that people have a hard time letting it go.
So there's so many questions I have, and it's like questions that I have that are regarding, what the flat Earth belief system is. So let me go back to something you said earlier, that is a misunderstanding about flat Earth, that we're a flat disc floating in space. Explain that. Where is Earth an infinite plane or a finite plane?
It's a great question. We're not allowed to go beyond the shoreline of Antarctica. They tell us Antarctica is this continent at the bottom of a ball, but there's no images of the middle of it. And no one's ever crossed it, which is really interesting. They say it's 10 to 13,000 miles in circumference. But the last time anyone tried to go around it, which was Captain Cook, it took them 3.5 years, went over 60,000 miles. 60,000 miles is bigger than the equator. The equator is the biggest circle you can make on Earth. Well, as you get lower and lower on the ball, it should get smaller and smaller. 68,000 miles. Okay.
I did see some of that information today when I was doing some research, trying to, again, just like you said, just like see what I could find, because I'm honestly, part of my show and part of what I'm interested is when is that veil being lifted and what's on the other side of it? I mean,
let's talk about that. So,
yeah, I mean,
and by the way, anything above as high as we can get or beyond the shoreline of Antarctica is speculation. But there's lots of stories. There's a book called The Iron Republic about people in the 1600s that didn't like the tyranny that was going on here, and they went beyond Antarctica, and they are still living out there today as an advanced civilization. And a congressman, not a congressman, a politician from New York who was fed up with the system, left, sold his house, bought a big boat, went to Antarctica, found a fissure through, was lost at sea for a month, ended up at the Iron Republic, lived there for years, got married, and then his wife died, and he ended up coming back and telling the story. But this was written in 1901. It talked about floating cars and flat screens and mobile phones and just all sorts of technology that wasn't even
A
envisioned
civilization
back
that
then.
he visited a civilization.
Yeah,
Oh
advanced
wow.
civilization. And the story was that they left here in the 1600s because of tyranny. Well,
Hmm.
you know what? If you are a tyrannical government, mind control, govern the mind, government, um, you don't want people doing that again. So maybe you make them think they live on a ball and don't let anyone pass 60 degrees south without supervision. And that's what we live in today. I mean, the Antarctic Treaty says nobody can go beyond 60 degrees south. Every country in the world practically has signed on to it now. And none of the big oil corporations, ExxonMobil, BP, no one's petitioning going, hey, there's land with no people, no animals, and it's filled with resources, fuel that but we're not going to go there, right?
You know,
We're not going to go there.
I thought I saw videos of the landscape there in Antarctica, and that had been filmed and people had been there.
Yeah, there are people on the shoreline. There is an area. We'll get into that. But the
Mhm.
area that they're in is literally, right here, just right here. This little
Mhm.
peninsula here is bigger than most countries. Okay,
Mhm.
so don't think this is a little thing. This pink line represents 60 degrees south. It's like 1,000 miles from, and supposedly 1,000 miles. So you can't see anything from there. You cross that line, you're going to be interrupted by military. There's eight different islands with military on it all around the perimeter, and there's a minefield of buoys, radar mesh buoys that will not sonar whatever. If you cross them, you're notified, and then a warship will come out, a drone will come out, an airplane will come out, and they'll shoo you away. They'll arrest you. They'll take your vessel. All sorts of stuff happens. But you can go from Santiago to here, cost you $10 to $50 to $100,000 for 3 days. You're barely allowed off the ship,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that's it. And there's like 100 companies that will offer you this trip, and they're all owned by the same company. Wait a minute, 100 companies having having shell companies look like they're competing. It looks like someone's trying to control access to Antarctica, right?
Mhm.
But this would be the ice wall. It would be the shoreline of Antarctica. I'm not sure that the ice wall's here all the way around. It might be out here or
Right.
way out there. We don't know what's out here. Okay.
Okay.
So here, just let me show you a quick map. This is a map that was found in where is it? This was a map that was found, I think it was found in Hawaii in a Buddhist temple, or it was written up in the Hawaiian Gazette, and it's a map from 10 centuries ago. Well, here
Mhm.
we are, and
Mhm.
here are other continents, like 30, 40 other continents.
Mhm.
What the
Mhm.
heck is going on here?
Yeah, what's that?
Maybe they go from here to here, and they land right in the middle of this continent. Look at this continent. Look at the
Mhm.
United States. This
Right.
has got to be 10,000 miles long. This
Right.
is bigger, way bigger than the United States. So if
Right.
they pulled up here and told you were on Antarctica at the bottom of the ball, how would you ever know? If
Right.
they pulled up here and said, hey, the earth is flat, you're at the ice wall that goes all the way around, how would you ever know? You can't see. You
Mhm.
can't see around. And then when you go here, this is where you are. Okay.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
there could be, so think about that. There is more out there. Your thoughts are now limited to a ball. Your true potential is stifled.
Right.
Okay. And I would have never found the creator if it wasn't for flat earth. Okay. I was so against the idea of a creator, but now I am forced into seeing the creator. And I believe there's a quote in some religious books, the Bible being one of them, that says, once you see my creation, you can no longer deny my existence. And that is a fact. I couldn't deny the creator if you paid me.
That I'm glad you brought that up because you were talking about that earlier, and that concept of a creator, and obviously in spiritual beliefs there are definitely similarities to that. But when you were talking about it, I almost felt I was thinking of the movie The Matrix, because I was almost thinking of the creator that you're speaking about is more actually the architect, the person who came up with the design,
You
and
know,
we are actually the builders. We're building it with our thoughts and
minds. We're building. You know what?
with
The
our mind.
Matrix is literally a documentary.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
I talk about the documentary with Keanu Reeves called The Matrix, and people are like, oh yeah, wait,
Yeah.
documentary.
Right.
And the Matrix is a prison for your mind. The globe is a prison for your mind. When you wake up, when I wake up somebody to flat Earth, or when someone else goes out there and wakes up somebody, they hey, get Dave's app, and then they wake up. You literally are Morpheus them. You
I
Morpheus,
definitely,
is that a word,
yeah.
Morpheus?
I definitely see that that
And
metaphor there.
and when you unplug them from the matrix, all of a sudden they can see. It doesn't matter that the world is insane. They can see the insane world. I would never take the blue pill again and go back in because I know the stake is fake.
right,
Okay. I'd
right,
rather live in the real insane world with people, wearing face muzzles in their car alone, right? It doesn't matter. It
right,
doesn't matter.
right.
Let me show you just a little flat earth
Can
proof.
I
Go
just
ahead. Yeah, go
I
ahead.
just want to acknowledge there's a lot of people here. There's a lot of chatter going on, and again, I'm not here to acknowledge any bullshit, but I have somebody, a Facebook user, I don't know who it is, and I don't really know what side they're on here,
I'll
saying
take any question.
we can all make anything sound reasonable and logical. That doesn't mean we are correct. Other than not trying to fly from my roof, I have never felt limited by the concept of spherical Earth. So I guess he's kind of defending
Well,
believing in a spherical Earth.
Well,
Uh,
he's got a case of Stockholm syndrome, and let me explain why.
okay,
Because if you don't know that there's more, then you think your thoughts are expansive. But
right,
what if there is more? What if there's like what are 8 or 9 continents, or whatever? I forget whatever the number. I think it's 8 or 9, whatever. It doesn't matter.
right,
What if there's
right.
5,000 more continents?
No,
So
this
doesn't that
graphic that you
expand your
have up,
mind right there?
yeah, the graphic that you have up is a great example of what you're saying right now. Exactly what you're
Yeah.
saying. Like the whole
What?
idea, this is again why I wanted to talk to you, because I do believe that conceptually we are on the same page. I do believe that there's this veil, and that I may not have been, growing up believing what is real. So again, I feel like we do have common ground. I'm just looking through these. There's no new photos of a round Earth. The last one was from the '70s, and it was doctored. Okay, that's
Yeah.
actually one of my viewers
We'll
is
get
saying
there.
that.
Let's just finish with the map. So this is I'm trying to find something real quick. Where did it go? Um, oh, it's under Antarctica. Um, so this is one way to look at the world. Another way would be, let's look at this map. This is one that I like. So we live here. Here's Antarctica. This could be couple thousand miles wide, and then out here is more land. Maybe
Right,
the Iron Republic is right out here.
right, right.
Okay, and they went through this hole and they got lost at
Interesting.
sea, and then all of a sudden they landed at the Iron Republic
Right,
and they came back. That is physically possible versus scientifically impossible outer space. We can get into that if you want. And then but what if this is just one pond? Okay, and we
right, right.
look
Of
at
course.
the world like this. What if the world? Well, this is actually another pond. But what if we look at the world like this? Pull this up real quick.
This is interesting stuff. I haven't seen this stuff, Dave.
Yeah. So what if the world was like this? Now, again, I'm not claiming any of this is true. I'm claiming it's scientifically possible versus Narnia,
Absolutely. Yeah.
which is infinite space. So what if we lived here? Hold on. What if we lived here? And this is us right here in this circle. And then out here are the outer lands, Iron Republic, whatever.
It
And out
looks
here
like
are more.
a fantasy map of like a
Okay.
dungeon,
And then what's this? Another pond,
right,
another
right,
pond,
right.
another piece of the plane, a plane, plane. You know what you call a piece of the plane? A planette, a
Ah,
planette. Okay.
interesting.
So what if here was other worlds and then we zoom out, more worlds, more
Yeah.
worlds, more worlds. Now there's a book. If we go to the book section
So
here.
wait a second. Wait, go back to that, because is that just
Okay.
one? That's just. It looked like it's in itself almost like it's an enclosed cell.
Well, no. If you actually look at the map, I have a high resolution map. It says
Right.
unknown lands out here. It says unknown. This is
So
just
but
unmapped.
it would
This could go
continue
on
in.
forever.
It would continue infinitely. Yes.
What's at the end of the heliocentric universe? We don't know. It's
No, it's
expanding into
infinite. Yeah,
nothingness.
it's
Yeah, we
infinite.
don't.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Same belief.
The truth is, we don't know what's outside of this white ring right here, let
Right.
alone what's out over here.
Right.
Now,
Right. Right.
this rings true to me. But if you read this book, it's called "The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Wall."
Mm-hmm.
If you read this book, it's actually very, very interesting, and they talk about people traveling to these other lands, and they're going on ships like spaceships, but they're on ships, and there's conflicts. Some of the lands are hostile, some are friendly, right? And they talk about that there's this overall energy that surrounds everybody. They call it the source, and those good people that connect with the source are more powerful. Well, what does that sound like to you? Warring little planets with a force, the source, the force. It's the story of Star Wars, but it's here on a physical Earth. But they want our imaginations in outer space, waiting for disclosure. When the truth is, disclosure is here. Disclosure is right here, thousands of miles away, instead of infinite, ridiculous light years. Okay.
Right. So do you feel like this veil is going to be lifted soon, and we'll be privileged to this information, or our minds will shift and understand this finally?
You know what's amazing when also another thing I want to say is flat earthers know that we don't know lots of things. Globers think they know everything, when in fact, when you try to hold any of their globe proofs up to scrutiny, up to scientific scrutiny, people say, well, he's got a bow tie and a white jacket, therefore he's a scientist. No, he's a comedian, failed comedian. Okay.
Right.
And when you look at the science, I'm so positive. For the last 3 years, I've been offering 3 Bitcoins for 1 globe proof. 1 globe proof. The globe trolls don't even try anymore, because they know, the globe trolls know the earth is flat. They're just paid trolls. Okay. But then there's just other people that are possessed. Paid or possessed doesn't make a difference to me.
Okay, I do have questions in that direction, but before I go there, I want to ask more about the physicality of it. I did ask you if it was a fixed plane or an infinite plane. You're kind of insinuating that it's an infinite plane. So would that mean that space is only up from here is space? What's underneath the flat earth? Is there an underside to it, or a depth to it? I mean, obviously you do believe in 3 dimensions, so
well, yeah, we're on a topographical plane.
Right.
So the deepest hole ever dug was in Russia. It's called the Great Borehole, and they worked on it for years, and they used ground penetrating radar to see what they were going to hit. And they were wrong every step of the way. No more water, no more rocks. They hit water, they hit rocks. Okay. And then at just over 7.5 miles, under 8 miles, they hit an impenetrable barrier. They couldn't get through it. They drilled, they tried blowing it up, they tried everything for years. And that's what impenetrable means. Impenetrable barrier. And then finally it was cut. It was capped off. Okay. And that's the end of it. So that is equivalent to if the earth was an apple, how thin the skin is on a Macintosh apple. They drilled a fraction of the way through the skin of the apple. They were wrong every step of the way, but somehow they know what the next 4,000 miles is. Okay. This is a meme that was in everyone's textbooks. There is 0 scientific proof of any of it, except the first 7.5 miles of the skin, which you can't even tell. Okay. Molten magnetic core. Do you know what the Curie point is?
No.
If you have a magnet and you heat it, before it melts, it hits the Curie point and it loses all magnetism. Molten magnetic core, and they're just laughing at us, right? Molten magnetic core. Sorry, you can't have a molten magnetic core. It doesn't exist. But we have a molten magnetic core 4,000 miles below, and somehow we know all of the construction of the planet. Absolutely not. It's all made up. Pseudoscience is embarrassed to hear this story, because it's beyond pseudoscience.
So does flat earth have, does your belief system have an explanation for what's underneath, or
we don't know. Again,
and that's fair. That's fair.
We don't know, but think about this. I believe that there's a firmament above us. I don't know what it is. Energetic, glass, frozen oxygen. I don't know, but I believe there's some sort of barrier above us. I don't believe space is a vacuum. I believe space is water. I believe there's water above us and water below us.
Okay.
Muammar Gaddafi discovered an ocean of pristine water. It's called primary water, and they don't teach you about primary water in our schools. Primary water is everywhere. There's infinite pristine water on this planet, on this plane, and they don't want you to know about it, because then you might figure out that we're not on a ball, right? So what's below? Excuse me. What's below? We don't know.
Okay, and that's totally fair, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna bring up a quote here. Somebody is just reminding us we're taking ourselves a little too seriously. Alfredo is going to watch Spaceballs the movie again, so
Well, that's fun.
that's fun. That's good. I just wanted to lighten it up and keep it light. But
And
Dave,
I
again,
don't think we're getting too intense here.
no,
I
this
think
is
we're
this
having
is great. I think I'm having a good time.
yeah.
I feel like, again, I still haven't like subscribed to it, but I have subscribed to the vibe of, something's not right, and we definitely need to figure out what we've been told, what's a lie and what's not. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Here's the
I
thing.
think
Once you start looking at all of the stuff you were told, and piece by piece, you say that doesn't work. Guess what? Like
right,
circumnavigation doesn't prove the Earth is a globe or flat.
right,
Therefore, take it off the table.
right,
But
right,
southern circumnavigation would prove the Earth is a globe, but no one's ever done it.
right, right,
No one's ever done it.
right,
Billions of people have circumnavigated east and west, but
right,
zero have done it south,
right, which doesn't make a lot of sense
unless the Earth is flat.
unless the Earth is flat. Right, of course.
Point, flat Earth.
That's great. So Jill is asking a good question, and I kind of think I know a little bit of the answer, but how has knowing this affected your lifestyle? So I
Well, I've
feel
lost friends and family.
like
I don't have to travel to Boston for Thanksgiving. I get to stay home in Connecticut. Um, you know, and
I don't
I've
mean to laugh,
gained.
but that's a
I know
great
it's
answer.
sad and funny, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. But I've gained a whole new family. We were just at I was just at a Flat Earth conference festival in South Carolina this past weekend,
Mm.
and we had 400 plus awake, aware people. Every
Wow.
person that you bump into is like somebody you can have an amazing conversation with, and from all walks of life. And every single person was awesome. When's the
Right.
last time you've gone out in a crowd of strangers where every single person was awesome?
But I have to say this, Dave. You are ultra respectful because I'm giving you respect, and like you said, we're having a good time here. We're talking about stuff where we're not challenging each other, but in any bad way. We're challenging each other in good ways, I hope,
Yeah.
and just talking. But I have seen the flat Earth community and even the globe tards, or whatever you call it. There's a divisiveness
Oh
there,
yes,
and
I'll tell you
and
something. Flat earthers are the worst.
that's
We're
what I was trying to
nasty.
avoid. Yeah,
We're
that's
no. Here's the thing. We're passionate
right,
because once
right,
you see the truth, the globe is so dumb. You think everyone's a shill for that says they believe it because you can't believe that anyone believes it. The programming is so strong. The first worksheet you brought home in kindergarten or first grade was the orbit of the moon and the sun and the earth.
right.
Okay. Why the heck are they teaching that to kindergarten? They start off early. Then your parents park you in front of Sesame Street and they have astronauts on there. And Walt Disney has astronauts
Sure,
on there.
sure, sure,
Okay.
sure.
This is all globe programming, right?
Right,
There was
right.
what was the
But you
Nazi
know what?
science?
I got to
What?
say, I believe, and this is again common ground. I believe that the indoctrination is the more important part of the indoctrination to me to address is the idea that you need to go find a job and work from 9 to 5 at something you don't like doing to bring home the rent, and this financial class system that's been built that we
100%.
I mean
100%.
yeah, so
So
and see that's what I knew where our common ground was. I mean
so
that's
the answer, someone said how it affect my lifestyle. I had my own company. I was making lots of money. Okay. I walked away from it all. And now I'm working from my home. I don't need to go out if I don't want to go out. I am talking to people like yourself. This is what I love doing. You know what? If you were a flat earther and we're having a conversation, I'd be like, oh, great, another flat earther. Okay. Right. I like talking to people that think the globe is the flat earth is stupid
right,
because I help plant some seeds and hopefully
right,
they do some more work and they look into it. So, how did it affect my life? My life is so rich now. And when I say rich, I'm not talking money. I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah,
it's
yeah,
rich with quality people and information. When I go outside and go
hmm,
in nature, I see the world completely different.
hmm,
I am
hmm,
never bored. I don't watch movies anymore. Occasionally, I'll watch something just to like clear, get my head out of the research because I'm
Right.
researching all the time. I'm
Right.
researching while I'm sleeping.
But they're
It's
but
ridiculous.
they're slipping it, and it goes both ways. They're slipping indoctrination into the movies, but they're also slipping, real information into the movies, freeing information into the movies. It depends on what you're watching, I guess. But like, I mean, just the movie Soul that just came out, like that was, I think, an important
What's that
movie.
movie?
Soul, it was a Pixar cartoon, and it was just about it was about soul. It was about just being who you are and believing in yourself, and how that will come back to you
You
if
know
you
what?
just.
There are, I do watch some movies for research. That sounds like something I would watch. The
Yeah,
new
check it out.
Pinocchio movie that just came out,
Yes,
where
with
Pinocchio
Tom Hanks.
sees the sun for the first time, the sun in the
Hmm.
sky. And he goes, "What's that?" And Geppetto goes, "Oh, that's the sun. It goes around the earth once every day."
Hmm.
Boom, flat earth right there.
Hmm. Hmm.
They're
Hmm.
trying
Hmm.
to own it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Totally interesting. So yeah, again, I'm trying to avoid any sort of argument. So let's talk about space. Let's talk about going up and what's outside of the firmament, you called it, the dome, or whatever the belief is, that is the enclosing. I was trying to answer the question. One of the things that I can't wrap my head around is the atmosphere and space. Like, what keeps them from mixing? And I was looking at different
Welcome to flat
densities of,
earth.
yeah, I was I was looking at different densities of gases, and how temperatures and densities, and I saw examples of water bodies that were able to keep separate. I've seen drinks at bars where they pour different levels of drinks, and you could see them having a separation, but
Right.
it didn't quite explain everything to me. I was like, okay, there's some things that I can get behind and say, okay, this is how it works. But that was one of the things you asked me, by the way. You're like, can you bring me some propane or something without a container, or something like that?
Yeah.
And that made a lot of sense to me. I was like, okay, there are things that I
So
do need to examine.
let me ask you let me ask you a question. So the Glober, the Glober answer for why the vacuum, the void of space, doesn't pull all the air off the Earth? Because air, natural tendency is to fill empty space and equalize in pressure. And
Hmm.
the globe answer is gravity. Gravity
Hmm.
holds it down, and it gets
Hmm.
thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner until it's space. Right? Cool
Hmm.
story.
Hmm.
Okay. And that's why it's thinner air at the top of Mount Everest. Cool story, right? It is. But if you have a tank of propane, it's thicker on the bottom, it's lighter on the top. Any tank of gas, it's heavier on the bottom, lighter on the top. It's just a natural gradient, but you have a container. Without the container, cut a hole in that propane tank anywhere, top, bottom, side,
Right.
and it's going to empty.
Equalize.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
here's a little thought experiment, and anybody, this is not complicated. So I have a glass box, like a fish tank, four-sided, how many sides? Six-sided, right? It's completely sealed. And on the top of the box is a little electronic trap door. And I opened it up and I just put it on the ground, and it's filled with just regular air pressure from the room. No, not changing the air pressure. I seal off the box. I put another one on top of it. That one also has a little trap door on the bottom and on the top. It's closed. And I suck out 10% of the air. So now it's like 90% of the air pressure. I put another one, 80%, another one, 70, 60, all the way up. And so now I
Mhm.
have a gradient of sealed pressures, and the top one is a vacuum. Let's make that tank 10 times bigger,
Okay.
and it's a vacuum. And I press a button, and all those trapdoors open. What happens? Does gravity hold the air down to the bottom,
I don't
or
know.
does it all shoot up and fill the
I'm
void?
imagine I'm not claiming to be a scientist, but I'm
Yeah.
imagining it would all get sucked out and
Your
into the thing.
imagination is correct. It would
Yeah, yeah.
instantly fill the void.
But if
And
there was an equal amount, wouldn't it equalize at some point and stop? Like,
well, no, because it fills the void.
right,
Gravity is strong. The globe model says gravity is stronger on the ground than it is high in the sky.
right.
Well, how come the weak gravity high in the sky can hold on to the air and on the ground it can't? That example, if you think it through, use your mind, your God-given common senses,
Mhm.
absolutely proves that gravity doesn't hold air down.
Mm,
Gravity does not hold air down. Summer
mm,
breeze goes left, right, up, down. Okay. If gravity's holding the air down, how could you blow the air up? Right. How can I drink with a straw with the weak low pressure system of my mouth and lungs? right? I'm pulling
Yep. Yep.
water and air up and away from Earth. The whole gravity model is complete and total nonsense. Let me ask you a question. Our sun is the biggest gravitational thing in our solar system, and it's holding on to all the planets. It ignores all the moons because the moons only stick to the gravity of the planet, which is ridiculous. But the sun's holding onto all the planets. If the sun was bigger, had more mass, it would hold on to things differently, right? If we change the mass of the sun and said, all right, it's 1 billion pounds more, all right, it might change things a little bit, or 1 billion pounds less, okay? Would that change the orbits of the planets if it was 1 billion pounds less? Maybe
Again,
not. Maybe not.
yeah, maybe not.
How about if it was 1 billion tons less? If I took 1 billion tons of the sun, a
Right.
billion tons of the sun away, would it maybe change the orbits of the planets a little bit?
Yeah, I think it would have
Okay,
effect,
let's
yeah.
let's change this. 350 billion tons of the sun. If I removed that much of the sun, it's going to change. Well, guess what? The sun, science tells us, scientism, nonsense, Narnia, tells us that the sun loses 350 billion tons of matter every single day, every day for billions of years. Do the math.
Yeah. No,
And
and
all of the
again,
planets, all of the suns, all of the moon, all of the suns, all the planets, everything repeats. All of the eclipses repeat. Did you know that there's a cycle of eclipses? We have like one this year, and then there's two
yep,
the
yep,
next year, and then there's
absolutely.
one over here. And guess what? After 18 years, the exact cycle repeats again and again and again and again. Does that sound like a random gravitational model, or does that
No,
sound
to me it
like a
sounds
clock?
like the math is the basis of the universe somehow. So, but
So
those are part of my beliefs, but that's
math will describe anything. But here's the thing. We can take the world's best supercomputer, try to model 3 bodies, and we can't. 2 bodies orbiting, they can figure out what it's going to do forever. Add a third body in there, it goes into chaos mode, right? So the best supercomputers, the best math can't figure out what 3 bodies are going to do. And the 3 bodies, they're all different sizes. This is just a model of 3 bodies of the same size, which is the easiest thing to do,
right.
but it goes into chaos mode. Right? You never know what it's going to do next. No computer can figure out what this is going to do next. That's 3 bodies, right? They're telling us
I
that
haven't seen that simulation, but
this is
that's
called the 3
interesting.
body problem. Look at it. There's a million simulations,
Okay,
right?
yep.
They're telling us that Neptune has like 80 moons. One of our distant planets has 80 moons. 80 moons, right? We got the Earth. The Earth has a moon. The Earth supposedly has another little moon too, they tell us. And then you have Mars and Jupiter and all of the moons, and everything just works perfectly. Never does this. Okay. That's a religion. That's pseudoscience. That is indoctrination. That is a cult. Okay. There is zero evidence for anything
Well,
in the solar system. Anything.
I don't want to say I'm not going to argue about the pseudoscience fact. I don't know how you feel about modern advances in quantum physics and how that relates to reality. I don't know if you want to even address that. You tell me. But I do feel like the things that I've looked at. You were talking about sacred geometry earlier. Is that math is a description? Yes, absolutely. It's a way to describe things. But very similarly, you talked about reality is really it's just in your mind. It's just a thought, and then you're experiencing a certain way, right? So this physical existence is just an experience that we're making up in our minds, right? Is that sound like your belief system at all, or no? Am I way off base?
Say that again. Ask that question again.
that reality is it comes from our thoughts. Our
Yes, but
we're
it is in this physical world. It is a physical reality. So I was looking for the quote. There's a well-known physicist that basically says the study of theoretical physics has never predicted anything ever, and it's off by a factor so big that the number literally doesn't exist. Right? I got one. George Ellis says, "I can construct for you a spherically symmetrical universe with Earth at its center, and you cannot disprove it based on observations. You can only exclude it on philosophical grounds. Sorry. You can only exclude it on philosophical grounds. In my view, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. What I want to bring out into the open is the fact that we are using philosophical criteria in choosing our models. A lot of cosmology tries to hide that. Okay, that's a physicist, George F.R. Ellis.
Hmm.
Right?
Okay.
That's crazy. And then I'm trying to find the comment on theoretical physics.
I want to tell the chat room to calm down a little bit and be friendlier. I see you guys have actually been really great with each other. I think people think
Well,
I'm a flat earther.
first
Zin's
thing is,
already a flat earther.
as I was saying, there's a lot of flat earthers, and we do get very overzealous. So, flat earthers, everyone behave yourself. But there are a number of anti-flat earthers. I don't even want to call them globers because they're just anti-flat earthers. They spend their
Sure.
entire life following me everywhere. They usually find my interviews that are posted before I find them. So, I appreciate it if you guys forward me the links to my interviews.
Wow.
That'd be
It's
nice.
it's pretty
But
crazy, and that
they're in here just to distract. They're in
yeah,
here just to
and
distract.
that's a part of what I talk about. It's like amazing to me that people would decide to spend their energy
Well,
doing something like that. Like,
they're paid or possessed, so either one doesn't matter.
all right, so all right, you're going to bring me to a whole different set of questions,
Go.
and I'm curious about flat Earth's beliefs. Um, so there is a whole industry, uh, the space industry, of people who are responsible for, at least I've been told this may not be true, and I want to know what you think. People who are responsible for launching satellites into space that control our intercommunication systems and all of these things. What does flat Earth say about that? Is that accurate? Is that a lie? Are they being deceived? Are they doing the deceiving? I'm not really sure where that fits into the flat Earth.
So we can start. Let's start from the ground. You got the people that work for satellite companies that are aiming antennas. They're aiming antennas at something. There's these echo balloons up there. Is one way they do it. Another way, we had a NASA whistleblower that was telling us that they literally shoot something into the firmament like a bomb, and then it electrifies, it charges the firmament, and then they could bounce signals off of it for years. Okay. So, years ago, my father lived in the Caribbean long before cable television, and he had a giant satellite dish on his roof, and we'd move it from satellite to satellite to satellite. And I always wondered, I'm like, how does that satellite always stay in the exact same position? And in reality, we're just pointing it at a spot on the firmament that the TV signal is being bounced off of, and we're just collecting that signal. So satellites are ridiculous. The people like Elon Musk, if you looked at, I have a video, Elon Musk is a fraud, 5 minutes, and it'll show you that this guy is 100% a fraud. Everything he's ever said he's done is a lie. All of the businesses he had, besides most of them being failures, are not even his ideas. This is Elon Musk launching his car into space. This
Nice one, yeah.
car is not even as high as the space station, and it sees the full Earth. This is ridiculous. Anyone that believes this is just believing
That image is doctored, you're saying, right?
No, it's not. This is what they showed us live. This is a live clip from Elon Musk's live stream showing this.
So
This
what is
is
that?
what they're claiming to be real.
Right. So you're saying it's manufactured, not
It's not even they're not in space. It's literally all fake. And then when they shot Michael Strahan up into space, his comment was, "It's unreal. It's unreal." He's telling you, "It's unreal. I want to go back." Right?
So you think
And
that's a message?
that I think that absolutely is a message. And then here is a movie, a Russian movie from years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Elon Musk landing this thing on a raft in the middle. Now, I'm a windsurfer, a kite surfer. It's blowing 25, 30 knots out there. There's 5 to 10 foot swells out there. This thing is landing on a little raft with one jet, stopping it and landing like that.
No, I got to tell you, I saw this. I saw that happening live, and it was
You
making
didn't
me
see it
cry.
live.
It was
Because you were so happy, but even in the calmest, best conditions ever, right? They always land these things on the drone ship, like 800 miles out to sea. Okay, 800 miles out to sea. So I'm trying to find what did I have that under? Rockets. Where's my rocket
Okay,
landing?
so well, let
Oh,
me
here it
let me
is.
address what you're
Here it is.
saying. So you're saying that it's not that these people are being deceived and believe that they're really working for this cause. They're deceiving everybody else.
Well, there's a lot of people that work there that's all compartmentalized. They don't know. You know, the people that worked on the Apollo missions, they said the people in the control room, one interview guy said they practiced so many simulations that when they did the real thing, they couldn't tell the difference. Maybe there was
Okay,
no
that's
difference.
fair.
All right.
That's
So look at this thing
yeah.
falling down. You ever watch a Harrier jump jet that has four, things, how unstable it is? This thing just lands all of this dust here. But let's watch a couple rockets. So this rocket is still going up. They always show the curve of the Earth, and then the other camera angle will show no curve. But this is the rocket falling back to Earth. Now look how high it is. It's way above the clouds. These little milk crates are steering it. Forget the fact that it's been up in the air. The Earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour below them. There's air currents and stuff. This thing's falling, right? The camera never goes off on here, but the camera on the drone ship always cuts out just before it lands. So this is a landing. This thing is falling. No one is here to witness it. And watch the landing. Watch the landing. This thing is gigantic, by the way. It's like 20 stories tall. It's absolute. Look, there's the raft. This thing is free falling, and that little flame is stopping it. These legs are like 15 feet tall.
Listen,
Wait. Just look. You got to watch this for a second. The camera froze.
Yeah.
And then we get a black screen, and then that was the end. So this is another one. Now look at the curve of the Earth. Curve there, and it was flat a second ago. This thing's falling out of the sky. It's going to land on a little ship like a perfect thing. Now watch. Here it comes. Right? These little milk crates are steering it. This little flame is stopping 20, 30 tons from falling, and it lands on this ship. And watch. And this is what we see.
Right.
That's what we see. Oh, it landed. Beautiful. A 6 foot tall person can walk underneath this. That's how big this thing is. Okay. Here's another one. These are, again, the same.
But see, I don't find them so like, oh my God, no way is this even physically possible. I feel
you're not. You just keep watching. Okay? This is absolute insanity. Again, they didn't show you anything, right? And this is not a tiny thing. This is like 12 feet between the deck and here. This is gigantic, right? Milk crates steering it, a little flame. Throw a car off the Empire State Building.
Well, that's all we're seeing. All we're seeing are those fins. We don't know what else is.
No, this is all that does it. This is all. This is all that does it. Now watch. Here it comes. Here it comes. And wait a minute. What happened there? Okay. Wait. Crazy. Hold on. I'm gonna show you. There's another one. All right. So these go on and on, but here's the most recent. One of the most recent ones. Here it comes. Right now we got this view and this view. Now watch what happens here. They screw up, which they do all the time. It's coming down. Somehow it's coming down at a reasonable speed. What's this box? What's this box?
Yeah, I don't know. I can see
that's a layering issue. Okay.
Yeah,
that's a layering issue. That alone shows you that they're faking all of this.
Yeah, that's certainly suspicious. Absolutely, 1,000,000%. Yeah,
1,000,000% suspicious. That is a preponderance of evidence. How about this one?
Hold on. It looks like they're showing you. It looks like they were showing you a magnified close up of it.
How about that one?
What is that? I don't know what I just saw. Is that it looked like a butane torch?
You're right. It was a butane lighter, and I did it in 5 minutes, and it cost me $2. Okay, all right. That's the same thing. That's literally. Imagine if I had $65 million a day. What I could do. I did that with $2.
I wouldn't use that one day.
Okay. What I'm saying is, it's not that far off. It's really not that far off. Okay. Wait. I have to show you one more. This is worth the time. Okay. This is Elon Musk rocket that's going to go to Mars. Look at this hunk of junk. Okay, now watch it. This is literally 1 full minute. Just stay with me. Okay, so edit. It's taking off. Now look how slow it's going up. Interesting. This little clean flame is pushing this thing up. Interesting. Okay, now just watch.
Rogers in the 25th century.
Hold on. So look at the angle of the camera. Now, what's going on here? It's still going up. Now look how high it is.
Right.
Now look how low it is, because look at the angle of the camera. How could it get a side view if it's this high? Watch, it gets way worse. Now the rocket turns off and it's free falling. Now look at
Right.
the smoke coming off of here. How fast is this
Right.
really free falling? This thing weighs like 40 tons.
Right.
Okay. It's falling out of the sky. Now look at the smoke. Look how slow it's going now.
Right.
What is this?
Well,
Now
that looks,
watch,
is that slow
watch.
motion? That looks like
No,
slow
no, this
motion.
is real time. Oh, look how high it is all of a sudden. Now look how high it is. Now look how low it is. Side view from the ground. Now watch this. The engines are going to turn on. Oh, look how high it is. Two of them are going to go off, and it's going to land upright with a whole bunch of fake smoke. Now watch, and the cameraman's going to get underneath it. Watch the edit. Ready? 3 engines turn on. Edit. We get right underneath it. 2 of the engines burn out. And it's
That
going
seems
to
like a
hold on.
simulation. That
Hold no,
doesn't
this
seem
is
real.
not you're right. This is real. This is
Right,
what they
right.
showed us live. And everyone's clapping. Yay. Look, CGI smoke. And it lands upright. If you believe that this is real and this penis-shaped rocket that they're just mocking us with, I can't help you.
Well, you know, I got to say, I'm a little upset because I was kind of excited that the space program was active again, and we were actually going to be exploring space. But
You know what? We all love space. That was the hardest thing to give up. But
yeah.
you know, all rockets go up. The ones that do go up
Well, okay,
curve
so
and they crash in the Bermuda
so
Triangle.
addressing that, where you said where you know that the idea of a global Earth kind of limits us our power, right? Because we can only think up until the globe. But what about space exploration? I mean, we think about those things. We think about finding other planets that have similar conditions that can support human life. You know, we think about exploring Mars. I mean, where does that fit into flat Earth?
Mars, Jupiter,
Right.
Saturn, other worlds
Right.
here in physical space. Let's talk about
So
other
there's a
worlds.
correlation. I mean, there is a correlation. It's
Well,
just
this is physically possible.
right.
This is physically possible. Do you know how close our closest star is?
No.
Probably not. It's okay. I don't know either. 25 trillion miles.
Okay.
25 trillion miles.
Okay.
Do you know how long 1 trillion seconds is? How long is 1 trillion seconds?
Pretty long.
Oh, if you guess it within a week,
imagine.
I'll give you a Bitcoin. Yes, just take a stab in the dark.
I'm not as good as math. Can I use my calculator?
No, you can't. Just take a stab at it. How about if you guess it within a month, I'll give you a Bitcoin.
So what is it? A trillion?
1 trillion seconds. How long? If you guess it within a month. How long?
Jesus.
Just take a guess. It's okay. Nobody gets it right.
100,000 years.
Oh, that's a long time, man. 31,000 years. So think about that. 1 trillion seconds is 31,000 years. So if you're traveling a mile per second, which no one's ever gone,
right,
and you go for 31,000 years, you are 1/25th of the way to the closest star. You got to do that 24 more times to get to the closest star. And then the other stars are magnitudes farther. Magnitudes. Okay? And you're flying through infinite space, impossible space vacuum with burning balls of gas. Absolute nonsense. Right? So to believe, hey, luckily, maybe the aliens are living near the closest star and they want to come to Earth and they're going to travel at 100,000 miles an hour. It'll only take them 28,000 years to get here. Okay? And then they come here, right? And then they crash in Roswell. Or they live right here. And literally, the guy that's going to come over here and spook us can do it and then make it back in time for dinner with his kids. Okay?
Right,
It's that close. It's right here.
No,
Disclosure is here on Earth. So wait a minute. Loving space, loving outer space, because we live here. This is outer space, the outer space beyond Antarctica. Okay. Disclosure is here. Extraterrestrials are here. Extra terra. This is extra land, extra territory in the outer space. If you love space and aliens or extraterrestrials, flat Earth is for you because it's real. The secret space program.
I love wordplay. So the extra terra is great. I love
extraterrestrials, outer space, right?
Yeah.
Right. NASA's not lying when they say you want to go to Mars because Mars is right over here.
Right. So I get that there is more exploration to do linearly, you know, but you're saying the nearest star is whatever you said, trillions of miles,
25 trillion miles away.
25 trillion miles away. So in flat Earth, does 25 trillion miles away even exist? Is there like some sort of limit to
No, we don't know
Um,
how far the plane goes, but if you go like from here
well, the
out to
plane.
here,
I'm
so
talking
let's
about
think about
height.
that.
I'm talking about up. I'm talking
So,
about up.
oh, up. The highest we can go is about 72 miles. And again, we had some NASA whistleblowers telling us that. And let me just see. Have you heard about the Go Fast rocket?
No.
So NASA, when they do a rocket, they have 100 cuts, and they're just they don't show us anything. And it's edit, 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 edit. They show us a close up of the engine, and the engine's getting red hot. They don't show us anything except nonsense. But Red Bull did this rocket launch in Arizona. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and this thing went up, spinning and spinning, and we had a view down and a sideways view.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it went up and up and up, and at about 73 miles, it went kerplunk, and it sounded like it hit something. Sounded like it went into a thicker medium, and then it stopped
Mm-hmm.
spinning, and it was floating oddly for a second, which was interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, it doesn't really prove anything yet, right? But it hit something,
Right.
and our whistleblowers told us that notice right here, this is the moon. That
Right.
it gets thicker and thicker and thicker, and then becomes it becomes impenetrable. This looks kind of flat, but there's the
So,
moon. Hold on,
yep,
hold on.
yep,
There was the moon. Okay,
yep.
so what does that mean? Well, it was launched in Arizona
Mm-hmm.
in the morning, like 11, 12, 11, 10 or 11 in the morning. The sun was right over here. The moon was over Australia.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, if this is the world and it was launched right here,
Right.
the moon is down here.
Right.
How the heck could we see the moon?
Interesting. No, interesting question. Listen, again, I haven't had an argument against a lot of the stuff you have to say because one, I don't think it's worth the argument. I think it makes sense the stuff you're saying. You certainly have valid points, and it's. I wish I could just say, oh yeah, totally, flat Earth, it's the way to go. But again, my belief system struggles with that specifically. But conceptually, man, again, we are on so many of the same pages as far as like the way humanity has been deceived and led, and the layers of information and misinformation that exist. I think those things,
I,
we could agree
I
on
got
that stuff.
so listen, when we're done, I'm going to ask you what your best glow proof is. So just think about it for a while. But physicist Michio Kaku, he says usually in science, if we're off by a factor of 2 or a factor of 10, we call that horrible. We say something is wrong with the theory. If we're off by a factor of 10, however, in cosmology, we're off by a factor of 10 to the 120th power. Now, a trillion, which is a ridiculous number, has 12 zeros.
Yep.
Add 13, 14, 15 zeros, and that's a number you can't comprehend. 120 zeros. They're off by a factor of 10 to 120 zeros. That number is ridiculous. That makes Bitcoin addresses cringe and how impossible that number is. Okay,
Right.
This is the largest mismatch between theory and experiment in the history of science. That's cosmology, the largest mismatch ever.
And I
This is
have a
from
lot
one
of
of the top
respect for
physicists. Yeah,
Michio Kaku.
yeah.
But Facebook user is saying, "Oh, Bitcoin is as fake as flat Earth." Facebook
Well,
user, listen, if you don't want them to say stuff to you, you got to not say stuff like this.
well,
This is,
well, well. Hold on
you're
a
not
second. I'm not.
vibing at the right vibration here.
I'm not saying Bitcoin is good. I'm not even a fan of Bitcoin. I'm
Right.
saying the reason I brought that up for people that understand how they have wallet addresses are random numbers. And if you have a computer that can guess random numbers and find your address, they can steal all your money. But the numbers are so big that if you had the fastest computers in the world working 100 times faster than they could, it would take like 100 sextillion years to find one address. That's how big the numbers are. You can't find it. You can't find it.
Sure.
Right. So that's what I was saying. 10 to the 120th power is if every computer in the world was looking for a random number in there, it would take them 100 quadrillion years to find it.
And that's, I get that, but that's also changing very rapidly with, like I said, quantum computers and computing in general is changing.
Yeah.
Listen, as well as I do, Dave, that humanity is on the verge of some major changes, right? It's
Yeah.
with
People
AI.
are waking up to the flat man.
Yeah, but flat Earth is just one variable. I mean, we've got
It's
AI, we've got robotics, we've got spirituality. You'll be glad to know. It's funny. Jilly is one of my regular viewers here, and she says, "I look forward to doing more research on your perspective." I think you were right about the spiritual connection between what you're trying to say here and the spiritual beliefs of more to the universe, more to reality than we've been taught.
have
There's
you
definitely that.
have did you watch the part I did on Southern flights?
Oh yeah, and that's one of the things I agree with you when you talk about the flight from South America to Australia having to go into the northern hemisphere. Why would it have to do that? I did notice that they just created a flight that does loop around down towards Antarctica, and then it's just a single flight from
Yeah, but they tell you the path that it goes on. They don't tell you. For example, this flight from Hong Kong, this is the flight route that they told you it takes. And they were going all the way to the UK, but they had an emergency where a mother with her family, her small kids, and her husband died in her seat. Who knows why she died suddenly? Google died suddenly and see what you find. Um, and and uh, and they had to sit with them for 8 hours. 8 hours.
I did remember you tell the story right. Like, why wouldn't they just land somewhere
Well, I didn't tell this story
immediately?
because I
Yeah,
just put this. I just
yeah,
put
yeah,
this
yeah.
one up
Go
the
ahead.
other
Go
day.
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay,
Tell it.
so 8 hours. Well, here's the reason: because the real flight route from Hong Kong to London with a stop, and they finally stopped here. They might, hey, you're with the 8 hours, might as well go another hour. Is because they were over Russia. Two things: one, what the hell are they doing over Russia? Okay, doesn't make any sense on the globe. And the other thing is, if they landed in Russia. Russia would be like, oh, let us help you out. And they'd be like, wait, Russia's not the bad guy, right?
Right,
Russia
right, right, right,
allows flights to fly over them, but you're
right.
not told that flights are flying over them, flying over there. So this alone proves that that there's something wrong with the globe, right? Something's wrong with the globe.
Sure.
Here's another, just one more. New York to Auckland, New Zealand. Right here, there was an emergency. They went to Fiji.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't they just go to where they were going? Why did
Right.
they go way off? This is huge. This is a huge distance.
And those are good, compelling arguments, but there are also a lot of things we don't know about the story. Um,
Here's the story. The story is they're going from New York to Auckland, and they
right,
had an emergency here, and they landed in Fiji. If you look
right,
at it on a flat Earth map, New York to Auckland, look where Fiji is. New
right,
York to Auckland, oh, look where Fiji is. Why
right,
didn't Fiji's not over here? Fiji's
right, right,
right.
right, right.
Listen, Fiji is exactly on that flight route. Why did they
Sure.
stop in Fiji?
Flight
Because
flight
Fiji's
routes are one of the compelling arguments that I see
right.
for flat Earth. So I definitely I'm going to give you that.
All right.
My friend Paul is saying it's his second time seeing you. He says you're a smart guy, and your argument is definitely compelling. And then on the other side we've got my buddy Danny who says round, flat, who cares? We're
Well,
here, and that's that. And
yeah.
that you were
I
kind of
used
saying
to
that
say
at the
that too.
beginning.
I
But
used to
you
say
were
that
kind of
too.
saying at the beginning, as long as we love each other, right? It's
Uh,
going to get better.
well, absolutely. But if you know who you are, where you stand, you can live to your true potential. And when
Mhm.
people start doing that, and they don't live in fear, like I never watch the news, but occasionally I'll turn it on just to see what's going on. 5 minutes, and I feel poisoned. But
Right,
if I hear someone going, "Oh, this and that," and Putin's going to nuke us, I know that person's a clown because nuclear bombs don't exist.
right,
Okay. Well,
right.
nuclear bombs don't exist. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. If you
It's
want
a
to learn
whole
about
other
nuclear,
rabbit hole.
listen, Crow 777 Radio, 2 hours in Crow
Okay.
777radio.com, episode 053 and episode 400. If you listen to those two episodes, you will know for a fact that nuclear bombs, as described, do not exist. Okay.
Okay.
As
I
a matter of
wish I
fact,
had. I wish.
Neil deGrasse Tyson just came out the other day and said nukes don't have radiation. And they literally backpedaled because it's exposed already. So they're backpedaling. Oh, today's nukes, they don't have the radiation that you're all afraid of. And it was on Bill Maher. Just try to find that Bill Maher. And it was Bill was blown away. He's like, "What do you mean they don't have radiation?" They're backing it up because we're pushing them back because they have to go back. Like we said, how come they're never looking out the window on these fake Jeff Bezos launches, and then the next one they're all looking out the windows? Okay, they're listening. They're
Yeah.
backpedaling. They're trying to do damage control. They
There,
constantly
there's
move the
some go
globe
yes,
posts.
there's something going on for sure, and you actually mentioned it earlier. I'm gonna try to wrap this up.
Yeah.
But you mentioned it earlier. I said, what would happen if I convinced everybody? And I said, the Earth is flat, and what would be different tomorrow? And you said the governments would crumble.
Yep.
This grasp of
Humanity
control
would be freed.
would crumble, and we would be freed. And again, that is the common ground that I wanted to find, because I do agree with you that when this veil, whatever it is lifted, we will be freed. We will be freed. And governments, if you've noticed, are crumbling, and people are
Absolutely.
waking up. People are waking up to all sorts of things, flat earth being one of them. People are waking up to flat earth. People are waking up to their chakras and the inner
Yeah.
energies that they have.
Absolutely. Listen,
So
we have a lot of common ground. Hey, for the last couple of minutes, we switch? Can you convince me that the Earth is a globe?
I can't, but you asked me for some evidence, and I would say the things that are convincing to me, that didn't make sense in the argument for flat Earth were the idea of the horizon and being able to view infinitely forever, because sunrises and sunsets, I think are, and eclipses, I think, are good indications of a globe, and I know you have arguments against them. um if you can do it quick, I'll let you do it, but I do want to wrap it up. I do want to also say to everybody who's been here, this has been amazing. Dave, you have been amazing to talk to. I do want to talk to you again, so when we wrap up, don't
Right.
go anywhere.
So
Stay in the back room. Go ahead.
yeah, so sunset you can't see forever. This is in Afghanistan, a soldier filmed this, super dry, super clear, and the sun just went away, getting smaller and smaller and smaller. But we very, very, very rarely see that. When we see sunsets, I'm going to just show you my quick demonstration.
Yep.
It's because we're on the terrestrial layer and there's a celestial layer above the atmospheric layer. So right
Mm-hmm.
here is the path of the sun. It's level. My counter is here. My counter is the flat earth. This is the path of the sun. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
moving it. Now this is a city skyline, the atmospheric deck of opacity, clouds, if you will, or mountains, whatever it is. We're above it. We never go below it. And now I have a camera for a terrestrial view. It's on the counter looking up at that line. Look at this line. It
Mm-hmm.
looks like it's going down. Okay.
Right.
Now this layer here between me and the celestial layer is blocking. Now, if I said, is this going down? You'd be like, yeah, it's not level and it's going below it. Now, if I zoom in, look at this line. It's almost going straight down. It's a level line. This looks like it's at eye level and it looks like the sun is going behind it. It's not. It's just going beyond it. This is your optical horizon. Over
Mm-hmm.
here, look at
Mm-hmm.
your optical horizon. This is the real sunset. Look, what's it going behind? What's it going behind? Right here. And you think that that's going below a physical curve when in reality, it's just going by the atmospheric deck of opacity. Watch it again.
Well,
This
that
is
I
what's
think that
going
video
on.
is yeah, it's hard to tell. Again, I'm not.
Again, go out and film it yourself. I've done it
Yeah, yeah.
myself.
But see, I
Right.
think I've seen you do that demonstration with the wire and the level line that the sun is on. But in the flat Earth model, wouldn't that be a circle? That would be a circular. It would be level, but the level line would be a circle. So
Yeah,
the sun would never get that far away, right? It would always
actually,
be
no,
visible.
no, no. The circle of the sun is massive, right?
Mhm.
Only in the summer when the sun is in here on the tropic, this yellow line that would be in June, the
Mhm.
tropic of Cancer. The sun goes around, right? Let me bring it into June. Where are we? October, November, December, January, February, March, April,
So
May, June.
let me let me do a little plug for you here.
Yeah,
What we're looking at is Dave's app. So Dave has this app that if you are interested in what we're seeing and you haven't already come over from his side to help him, and you're on my side of the consciousness and you haven't seen this information and you're interested, check out his app, because there's a lot of information there, as you can
it's
see. So,
you can
so go.
find it at flatearthdave.com. The app's $3, but every day there's a featured video. If you think the Earth is a globe, all you have to do is watch the featured video every day for 2 weeks. At the end of that 2 weeks, send me a proof that the Earth is a globe and you win 3 Bitcoins. But before you do, you have to hit the question mark button and see if your questions are answered there. Hey, what about eclipses? We don't have time for that, but
great. So
eclipses
a great
prove.
database of
Yeah,
what
uh,
your counter to arguments that you've heard before.
eclipses prove the Earth is flat. Okay. What about the
Mm-hmm.
shadow on the moon? What shadow? What are we talking about? How's the Earth cast a shadow on the moon? Watch the videos near. If I click that video, that button, all of these videos you cannot find on YouTube. They're on YouTube, but they're hidden. They don't want you to see them. Well, I'm bringing them to you. This button alone is worth the $3.
Awesome. I will say this. As I was trying to do my research, I did notice that there was a lot of information that was disappearing about you.
Yeah,
and
you can't find it. This is the flat earthers that are just near me, and I can communicate with them. I can tap on a dot. I can send them a message. I can send out a radius message to everybody in this circle and say, "Hey, I'm having a meetup," and bam, they go there. And
my buddy Danny is saying, "Good Lord, I just want to assure my buddy, listen, I'm not subscribing to Dave. I am giving Dave his equal voice. I believe in a lot of the principles that Dave stands for, and a lot of the concepts that he stands behind. And I'm just giving it equal voice here. I'm hoping.
Here's the thing. I appreciate you giving the equal voice. I understand that how you're still locked into your beliefs, but try to come up with one globe proof. And when you can't, you have to ask yourself why. And the thing is, when you think you have one, well, Aristophanes did it with his sticks and shadows, the shadow on the moon during the eclipse, seasons. Seasons are so easily explained. Seasons prove the Earth is flat, but you have to look. And so again,
you have to admit that the information that we've been taught about the Earth leaning away and the further part from the sun is why it's colder. Those make sense. There is a reason that we believe them, right? Hold
on. I
just want you to acknowledge that. It's not like
Actually, I'm going to dispel that if you give me 3 or 4 minutes. You ready?
All right. We're already at 10:30, but go ahead.
We're just going to go 3 or 4 minutes. So try to follow along. This outer yellow line is the Tropic of Capricorn. The inner yellow line is the Tropic of Cancer. Everything inside this inner yellow circle, we'll call it the Arctic area. Everything outside this yellow circle, we'll call it the Antarctic area. And everything between the two tropics, we'll call the tropics because that's where the tropics are. Okay? So if you're inside here and the sun what is the sun doing? It's arcing around you, the Arctic. Out here, the sun's not arcing around you. It's antarcing. It's coming towards you and away from you. It's Antarctic. Okay, that's not what causes seasons. I'm going to show you what causes seasons. I just wanted to bring that up because you like the wordplay. So in December, let's go to December, October, November, December. So in December, the sun is all the way out here on the Tropic of Capricorn. It is summer in South Africa. It is summer in South America. It is summer in Australia. So when the sun comes around, when the sun's over here, I call my friend PK in Sydney. I say, "What time is it?" He'd be like, "It's noon." I'm like, "Where's the sun?" He goes, "It's directly above my head and it's hot." But meanwhile, I'm in Connecticut up here. Look how far the sun is from me. It's winter here. The water's frozen. The salt water freezes because the sun is farther away. Now you think it's just because of the little tilt of the earth, but I'm gonna dispel that in a second. But 6 months later, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ouch. The sun moves all the way into the Tropic of Cancer. It's much closer to us. Australia has their winter. We have our summer because the sun is closer. So you and I are sitting out.
Wait, now I have a question because of that visual. So when you had the sun on the outside, the way that the light
it changes. The shape of the change. It changes because the sun is out here and it's closer to the dome and it wraps around. And we can demonstrate that. We can take a glass dome. We can put a light in it. We can move it. We can move it in and out, and the shape changes.
So so when it's closer to the center, you're saying the arc actually gets left.
It's more of a spotlight, if you will. It makes more of a circle. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. All right, so now let's do this physical experiment. You and I, what state are you in?
I'm in New York.
You're in New York. I'm in Connecticut. Look at that.
Nice.
Okay, so it's December 21st, whatever. It's freezing cold. You're coming down to visit me, and I say, "Hey, let's hang out outside and have a beer." And the ice, it's frozen. There's snow on the ground. It's just miserable. It's below freezing, right? We're 20 feet apart because we need the social distance, of course, right? and we're drinking our beers and they're frozen, right? I'm like, man, it's cold. And you're like, what? It's cold. And then all of a sudden somebody comes out with a 15-foot pole and holds a big a big sun lamp 15 feet directly over your head, and it's radiating heat. It melts the snow around you. Your beer defrosts, and you're like, you take off your coat. And I say, where is that sun, that heat lamp? And you go, oh, it's right up there, right? And I look at it and go, no, it's over there. It's not directly up. It's like, it's way down low for me.
Right.
Now that person walks over to me, keeping it at 15 feet, never lowering it across the flat field that we're on. And I watch that sun get higher and higher and higher and warmer and warmer and warmer until it's directly up here. You look at it and go, it's down there, and you're freezing. Your beer freezes, mine melts. Okay. Now, if it was the tilt of the earth, if it was the silly tilt of the earth, right? The light over here is hitting the equator and it's hot, but it's cold here because we're tilted away. And then when we tilt forward, we get more direct. That's what they say. But the thing is, what about the spin of the earth, right? When we're spinning, when the sun rises, that is the most tilted it could ever be. Think about that. That's not a 34-degree tilt. That's an 89-degree tilt. And in June, here in New York and Connecticut, when we look at the sun in June, when it's just over the horizon at the farthest tilt it could be, I could feel the heat on my face. I can lay down in shorts and take my shirt off and feel nice and warm, right? That's the worst possible angle, and it gets worse. In December, at solar noon, when the sun is pretty damn high in the sky, the highest for that day, I can look at the sun and not even feel the heat at all. Now, that's a more direct angle, and here it's worse. In the helio-nonsensical BS model, in the winter, the sun is 3.5 million miles closer to us than it is in the summer, okay? So in the summer, just repeating, at the worst, most severe tilt, 3.5 million miles closer to the sun, I could feel the heat on my face. In the winter, at a much more direct angle, 3.5 million miles closer, I can't even feel the heat. Think about it. That disproves the whole tilted model 100%. Again, frequently asked questions, hit seasons, watch the videos because the graphics explain it even better.
And I know you've got, I know there's, I certainly also hold the belief that perspective is very important, and perspective is just a different way of describing the same thing, right? So I'm all for you, Dave. I really am. And it's funny because I see some people state of confusion who are probably wondering why I'm even giving you the time of day, but I'm loving this conversation. This is really good stuff. And I do wish you success with everything that you do, because I just wish everybody success, right? We all should be successful.
I appreciate that. And I hope that one day you free your mind from the matrix, because it is way better out here. I know. Listen, you seem like a happy guy, by the way, very spiritual. You get a lot of things and you can live your life. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. I'm just saying, when you understand that you don't live on a spinning ball and that you're at the center of creation, life is way more powerful. I'm manifesting things so fast in my life. It's unbelievable. I don't even believe it, right? The amount of synchronicities are amazing. And that's because I'm connected. I have a foundation. Okay. I have a foundation. I'm connected. I'm part of this earth system. I'm not a random speck floating through an infinite in space vacuum, which is scientifically impossible. I don't live in Narnia. I live here.
I have more trouble actually in the 3D existence than I do in my mind and in my consciousness. So I am right there, and I'm I'm with you, man. I really am. It's like I'm with you, but we're just wearing different shirts. That's all. I don't have a flat Earth shirt.
You don't have this shirt? By the way, if you want this shirt, you hit the shopping cart button, and it's right there in my t-shirt shop.
Awesome. I love it. Listen, this was an amazing conversation, Dave, and I appreciate it. I hope that you got some people to at least understand you, or at least understand that you're more human than they might think. And
who says I'm human? I find that very sexist or racist or whatever it's called. Okay,
you don't identify as a human.
I'm not saying that's none of your business, none of your damn business. All right. And by the way, anyone in the chat that thinks I'm crazy, come collect your 3 Bitcoins. One proof that you live on a globe. Just
man.
one.
I love that challenge, man.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Let me put you in the back and wrap up the show, but don't go anywhere. I want to talk to you real quick before we part ways tonight.
Okay.
But thank you again for being here. I really do appreciate it.
Sure. See ya.
Oh, wow, I'm totally exhausted, and as you can see, I am in my happy place. I just had an amazing conversation that stimulated my brain, and got the audience all talking to each other. And I saw a couple of a little pushing back and forth, but I think that everybody got along. It was like a cool consciousness rave. We were all just kind of dancing to the conversation and having a good time. And listen, whether the earth is round or flat, we're all on it together, right? Isn't that the main important thing? We're all on this earth together. So Dave is has got this idea that realizing what he believes will set you free, and a lot of people believe that. So you've got to just at least give them, if they're not hurting you, why not let them believe what they believe? Because they're obviously Dave is set free. Dave doesn't give a shit what you think about him, and I think that is the ultimate freedom. Dave believes what he believes, and he lives in that world. So I think that's awesome. I can appreciate the people who came over from his camp and watched this interview and came on kind of judging me before, and then saying that I'm a good guy. I saw that once or twice in the comments, so I appreciate that, and I appreciate the encouragement of just being a good host, because that's my intention. My intention is to create a space that everybody can feel comfortable to be vulnerable and show love. So we got lots of people just saying stuff. I'm just going to throw up your comments. Good show. Uh, Danny wants to put you in a room with Ted Nugent and David Lee Roth and have a reality show with that. Great show. Good night. Yeah, thank you. I feel great. Let me go talk to Dave and see if I could get him on the show again, and see if I made a new friend. And I will talk to you guys next week. Who do I have next week? I think I have what's his name? He's an author. This great book called In the Beginning. The story is the opposite, where God is really evil and the devil is good. And it's a really interesting story. I've got to catch up on that book before I talk to him next week. But if you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Come back next week and join us. Join the chat. Usually I throw a lot more of the chat up, and it's a little more interactive, but I was so into the conversation that I didn't really get a chance to. So again, thank you to Dave for being here, and thank you to all of you for being here. This was the live stream of consciousness. Come back next week. Peace.